Time is our greatest enemy. Time is playing against us. These are the words that not only independent Ukrainian experts, but also retired Western officers began to pronounce more and more often. For 4 months, the armed forces of Ukraine have been unable to break through the defense line of the Russian army and achieve at least scanty strategic successes. At the same time, Western military experts began to openly admit the failure of the counteroffensive, trying to understand how Russian troops managed to stop the Ukrainian army, which at the time of the start of the counterattack, significantly outnumbered Russian forces, both in manpower and in the presence of offensive weapons. So, a military expert from Finland, Emil Kastahelmi, bluntly stated that the breakthrough of the Russian line of defense by the armed forces of Ukraine is no longer possible. According to him, the armed forces of Ukraine are completely bogged down near Rabatino and Verbov. Moreover, the Finnish expert also stated that the Russians are in full control of the situation, continuing to bleed the Ukrainian army. Unfortunately, the fact remains that the Russians have all the resources to keep the situation under control. All this allows the Russians to move from defense to offensive. Near Rabatino, Russian troops very often organize offensive actions, forcing the battered units of the armed forces of Ukraine to retreat to their initial positions. If the Russians continue to use their resources competently, effectively repelling the attacks by the Ukrainian armed forces, the Ukrainian military command will not be able to achieve any significant victories, Finnish military expert Emil Kastahelmi said. In the meantime, I would like to present to you a very interesting statement by another Western military expert. This Western expert is Markus Reisner. He is a historian and an active military officer of the Austrian armed forces. At the same time, this expert has always stood out for his impartiality and fair assessment of what is happening on the battlefield. So, according to him, the armed forces of Ukraine badly miscalculated by starting to use the wrong tactics against the Russian army. Markus Reisner believes that the Russian military carefully calculated all the scenarios, and based on the conclusions, created the most advanced and powerful line of defense in the history of wars. According to Markus Reisner, the Russian defense line is specially designed to exhaust and decapitate the most combat-ready units of the armed forces of Ukraine. The Austrian expert believes that even if the armed forces of Ukraine manages to break through the first line of Russian defense, they will finally get bogged down on the second and third lines. At the same time, Markus Reisner said that General Surovikin, creating the Russian line of defense, relied on the experience of the Red Army during the Second World War. According to him, the Russians used the so-called Balaton defensive tactics in Zaporizhia, and thereby, Russian troops achieved a tangible victory. Markus Reisner compared the failure of the Ukrainian armed forces in Zaporizhia with the defeat of German forces near Lake Balaton in 1945. Let me remind you that in March 1945, Germany and its allies gathered a powerful offensive fist in Hungary, and planned to break through the positions of the Red Army at Lake Balaton. The German generals were confident that a counterattack on the positions of the Red Army would bring the Third Reich a strategic victory, and throw the Eastern Front to the borders of the Soviet Union. This confidence of the German generals was due to the fact that in this sector of the front, the Red Army was significantly inferior to the German troops in manpower and heavy equipment. However, Colonel General of the Soviet Army, Leonid Kotlyar, built such a competent line of defense in Balaton that it led to the complete defeat of the superior forces of the German army and its allies. According to Marcus Reisner, the defense line of General Leonid Kotlyar is still being studied by every military academy in the world. And now, General Surovikin created and improved the world's most powerful defense line based on the experience of Leonid Kotlyar. According to the Austrian military expert, the armed forces of Ukraine will not be able to break through the Russian defense line in Zaporizhia. If the Ukrainian armed forces fail to adapt to the current situation and find effective tactics against the Russian army, then the Ukrainian army will remain without combat-ready units in the next 3-4 months, which will mean a complete defeat for the Kiev authorities in the current conflict.